Are you ready to find out why you're failing as a real estate investor and what you can do to turn it around?
Yes! 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 Yes!
That's why I'm here.
Today, I've got 2 checkpoints for you to review on your roadmap to success. And it has nothing to do with getting more leads, moving to a different market, or waiting for a better economy. You ready? Let's go. When people come to me for help with their real estate investing business, they think that if they only had better leads, a different market, or they had more cash buyers, that all of their problems would be solved. And I'm noticing right now more and more investors, they're checking out voluntarily or involuntarily being sidelined by the economy. But some are having the best months of their careers, like private client Chevy Allah. He sent this to me last week. That's a 6-figure assignment fee. Who says you can't wholesale in today's market? Chevy didn't get that message. He's just doing the work. He deserves all the credit. And if you want to do what he's doing to get what he's getting, let me know by hitting the like button, because I'm gonna share with you 2 places for you to check inside of your business. And if the first one doesn't get you back on track, the second one most certainly will. For most people, it's gonna be both. All right, so number 1, it's your conversion system. Because if your conversion is done right, everything else is easy. And I'll use my conversion quadrant here to explain. Most real estate investors operate in this lower left-hand quadrant where they play bad cop with sellers, meaning their interactions with the seller are adversarial in nature, sometimes intentional, most of the time not. But the mindset here is, I'm gonna go ahead and grind this seller down to the lowest price possible. And when they get to the point of making their offer, it's their idea. This is my opinion of your property's value, Mr. Seller, and this is what I'm offering you. And this creates a lot of resistance in the buyer-seller relationship, especially if the seller's motivation isn't super strong. And the result, more times than it should be, is no deal. Really, the only way you can survive down here is through experienced ninja-like negotiating or a huge marketing budget that creates tons of leads that you can afford to burn through. Now, the next biggest portion of the real estate investor population is up here, top left, where they're still in this bad cop role. They're still playing that role, but they've been beaten up so much down below that when they finally find a seller willing to work with them, it's like a relief. But the price, it's the seller's idea. The seller might still even offer up a discount, but typically it's not enough of one. The investor, though, is like, hey, at least I got a shot now, let's go for it. But now the seller is essentially the boss in the relationship. They're calling the shots. And they're hounding you on what's taking so long and when are you gonna close, and the transaction becomes a real struggle for you. You see, there are a lot of investors that were winning up here. They had become accustomed to winning here because the rapidly appreciating market over the last several years had been bailing them out of their incompetence, protecting them and saving them from their mistakes. Now, they're all canceling a lot of contracts, and/or they are trying to build a bigger buyer's list, hoping that they can find a bigger sucker than themselves on that list. Now, we operate different over here, where we position ourselves as the good cop. We team up with the seller to solve their problem, and we make the market the bad cop. Now, this hasn't been as easy as it normally is the last few years because the market was really the good cop in the way that prices were appreciating so quickly. Totally different now, though. With interest rates doing what they're doing, the economy doing what it's doing, supply chain interruptions, the cost of goods, and with it all being covered on the media now, the market is playing its role as the bad cop again. The good cop mindset, it's kind of like this. Mr. Seller, I think you're asking for a fair price, so let's give it a shot. As long as the market doesn't get in the way, I'm all in. As a seller right now, wouldn't you rather work with that guy?
Totally.
But even here, this takes some experience and skill to pull out a price from a seller that's fair for both of you. And investor buyers will still come up with the price for their offer down here because they just don't know how to present it. And the seller will likely agree to your offer because they like you. They feel you're on their side, they know that. But because you came up with the price, they're doubtful. They've got questions and they're thinking and asking, are you sure this is the best you can do? And your transactions go slowly. But then, up here, where you're the good cop, and the seller comes up with the right price on their own, you get to work with cooperative sellers, and your transactions are easy. And sellers are grateful, and they give you testimonials, and they send you thank you cards. That's what you're gonna experience when you're operating up here. That's how we do it. But you need a framework for this, and you need to practice it. Just like you practice the piano or your golf swing or juggling tennis balls, this skill is just like those, but it just pays a whole lot more.
That's what I'm talking about.
So practice your craft. Confucius, you heard of him? He said, by nature, men are nearly alike. By practice, they get to be wide apart.
Wow, that is so deep.
And Bruce Lee said, I fear not the man who practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who practiced one kick 10,000 times.
That's good too.
And then Tony, he said, it's what you practice in private that you will be rewarded for in public. And the type of practice that will make you great takes commitment. Your level of commitment, it cannot be underestimated because it's what has you exactly where you are today with regard to your relationships, your fitness, your income. I mean, your income is at a level that's in perfect alignment with your commitment. It's not the economy. Right now, you are earning what you are committed to. And I know you have big goals and dreams, but they're not commitments for you yet. If they were, and the economy pulled back, you'd find a way. If it's imperative you make more money, you will. And I noticed this for myself about 12 years ago, because up to that point, I never wanted kids. I never felt I made enough money to support myself plus a third human being. I had enough for my wife and I, but I wanted to be set up financially for family. And I never felt I was financially set. And at the time, Mercedes and I were clearing a couple $100,000 a year, but our income was very erratic. We made good money, but it was somewhat unpredictable. Enough so for us to always be concerned about it. But when we had Mateo, that year, we had our first $1 million year of profit. I had made millions before when I was in the music business, but it went right out the door as fast as it came in. Looking back, I can see I wasn't committed to keeping it. As a real estate investor, I went from a couple $100,000 a year to $1 million because it became imperative that I did. My son became my commitment. Breathing, that's a commitment. And so you breathe, right? You never miss one, do you? And when you do, it's alert, alert, need more oxygen, and you'll do whatever is necessary to get it. Now imagine your income goal as a commitment like that. I thought to myself, if I can go from $200,000 to $1 million in 1 year, I can certainly get to $5 million in 5 years. And Mercedes and I did it in the following year because we made it a commitment. So if you don't have a conversion problem, then you've got a commitment problem. So step 1 is to change your commitment. Step 2, you got to get certainty behind it. You have to change your belief about your commitment. 20 years ago, while listening to my first Tony Robbins tapes, here, do this with me. Whether you're watching me on YouTube or listening to me on the podcast, do this with me. As long as you're not driving or operating heavy machinery, do this with me real quick. Stop what you're doing and look around you and focus on everything that you can see that is blue. Look, look, look. Count how many things that you can see that are blue. Keep looking, keep counting. All right, now, close your eyes. Close them. Without opening them, tell me how many things you saw that were brown. It's not as big of a number, is it? Now, open your eyes. Now look for everything that's brown. You see a lot more brown stuff now, don't you? Why is that? Because you're looking for it. Because whatever you focus on, you'll find. In fact, you'll find stuff that's not even there. For example, you probably just counted things that were beige because it was close enough to being brown. And you wanted to win this game. You wanted to feel successful. See, once you believe something is a certain way, out of your need for certainty, you'll change things to meet that belief. Here, look at this. There's a common misconception that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer due to a rigged system. That's the belief. But that's not true. It's what each focuses on that produces their riches or their poverty. Here, look at this circle. It's divided into 4 equal parts. And you'll notice that you've got the word potential in the upper left, and in the upper right, you'll see the word action. The bottom right, you see the word results, and the bottom left, you see belief. Now, you can move clockwise on this cycle, or you can move counterclockwise, but you can't stand still. And depending on which way you're going, you will pick up momentum, and it will become perpetual unless acted on by an outside force. Typically, it's going to be something that interrupts or changes your belief. But let's start with potential. What's the potential of a human being? Unlimited, right? Do most people's results, though, reflect that true potential? Yes or no? No, they don't, do they?
Why?
Well, because most people aren't taking enough what?
Action!
But is it possible to take a lot of action and still get lousy results?
Yep.
I mean, what if every time you talked to a seller, you said, "You don't want to sell your house to me for half price, would you?" Do you believe that would get you good results?
Definitely not.
You'd get terrible results if that were your opening line. So it's not just action we're talking about, it's the right action, isn't it? So if you're taking action in your real estate right now, but it's the wrong action, does that affect your potential? Yes, it does, doesn't it? And when the incorrect action delivers lousy results, what does it do to your belief? You go, "See, I told you it wasn't going to work." And what does that do to your potential?
What?
It limits it. And does that limited potential cause you to take more or less action?
Less.
And what does that do to your results?
They only get worse.
And then to your belief, it's shrinking more. We've got momentum moving in the wrong direction, don't we?
Yep.
And that's why we have the economy that we have right now.
Oh, damn.
Look at what we've done.
Everyone's out there going, "Oh my God, the results are so bad and it's gonna get worse." And they've hunkered down into defense mode. They're playing it safe. And so we have less potential. And so are people taking more or less action right now?
Yes, it's this much less big.
Yes, less. And that's what creates a recession. You know, the University of Maine in 2017 found direct connections historically between market pullbacks and public sentiment. It's the public's beliefs that drive the economy more than the actual economics.
We got to put an end to this torture.
So, which way would the economy go if people believed a recession was a good thing?
Up.
Which direction would you go if you believed with absolute certainty that a recession was your friend?
I'm rich, bitch!
If you believed that the worst economy for the country was the greatest time on earth for you, what type of action would you be taking?
A whole lot.
You know, Chrysler, Boeing, the Kennedys, J. Paul Getty, Howard Hughes, they believed the Depression was their friend, and they became rich because of it. You see, when you have that kind of certainty, when that's your belief, are you going to tap into more of your potential? Of course. And that will lead to more action, won't it? Yes. And what will that do to your results? Improve them. And then what will that do to your belief? Your brain goes, hey, this recession is working for me, and that increases your potential. And then you take more action. Now we're going in the right direction.
Yes, we are.
And so you can choose to believe what everyone else is believing about the economy, or you can choose to believe what you believe about your economy. You get to decide what you want to commit to. You can believe that we're in the worst of times, or you can believe we're in your best of times. Whatever you choose, you're right.
You knew he was going to say that.
Now you're ready for step 3. Implement a process that works. Maybe it's ours, maybe it's not. There's more than one way to skin this real estate cat, but we've got a proven process, and we've got the results. Now, all we need is a committed you in the middle, and that will put you in the same place all of these people once were. And now they are our proof. And that brings me back to my 2 reasons as to why investors are failing. To become a successful real estate investor, you must commit to practice and believe you can do it. It doesn't matter what the economy is doing. What matters is what you're doing while the economy is doing what it's doing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.